If you're over 40 and your hair is thinning like crazy, it's not just aging and it's not your genetics. And it's definitely not because you need another shampoo. Your hair is starving because your blood has turned thick, sluggish, and toxic. And if you're still eating even one of these five food groups I'm about to show you, your scalp is being cut off from oxygen supply right now as we speak. I'm not here to give you fluffy copy paste advice from Google or WebMD. I'm going to break down the real science behind extreme hair loss after 40, and it starts with what you're eating that society never warned you about. Hair loss isn't just about DHT or aging, it's a vascular disease, inflammatory collapse of follicle integrity, and it begins in your gut, liver, and blood vessels, not on your scalp. When blood can't reach your follicles in the right viscosity, which is the thickness, with the right micronutrient content, and without being filtered by a sluggish detox system, your hair starves, even if you are taking supplements. Doctors will tell you it's just GST or aging or menopause, but that's only 10% of the picture. The truth is, hair loss is a circulatory and inflammatory disorder rooted in your gut, your liver, and in your blood. After 40, your digestion slows, detox gets weaker, stress hormone rises, and unless you actively fight it, your blood becomes too thick, too sticky, and too inflamed to reach the tiny blood vessels that feed your hair follicles. Think about it. Your scalp has some of the thinnest blood vessels in your entire body. If blood flow slows down even a little bit, those follicles go in shock. They start shrinking, they start shedding. Now, here where it gets very scary. Certain foods, even ones we're told are healthy, they're directly causing this thickening of blood inflammation and loss of scalp perfusion. Let's break down the 5 dangerous food groups for hair loss after 40, and you'll want to take notes. Okay, so the first one is excess gluten, which is modern wheat, which equals gliadin and zonulin activator. Modern wheat isn't the same as your grandmother's bread, thanks to hybridization. It now contains a protein called gliadin, which triggers the release of a compound in your gut called zonulin. Zonulin makes your gut lining permeable, which then creates this thing called leaky gut. You've probably heard of that. When that happens, bacterial toxins called lipopolysaccharides enter your bloodstream. Your immune system panics, inflammation skyrockets. Guess what gets sacrificed first? Your scalp. Inflammation diverts blood away from non essential tissues like your skin, your hair, and it reroutes it to your gut, liver, and spleen to handle emergencies. And the result? Well, the scalp is cut off from oxygen and your hair enters the shedding phase permanently. Modern wheat, not ancient wheat, contains high gliadin. Gluten that activates zonulin, loosening tight gut junctions, which is the leaky gut. This leaks endotoxins into your bloodstream, creating a systematic inflammation, and your blood pulls away from the non essential tissue like the scalp and redirects it to your gut, liver, and your immune system. Inflammatory cytokines like TNF alpha and IL-6 reduce dermopapillaris cell survival, the cells that control the hair growth. There was a study done that said zonulin regulation of tight junctions in autoimmune diseases, leaky gut from gluten initiates chronic inflammation. So this says a lot about what gluten does in your body and how it affects your scalp health. Okay, the second food group is industrial seed oils. These include canola, soy, corn, and safflower. Okay, so these are sold as heart healthy, but they're one of the most inflammatory substances that you can consume on a daily basis. These are high in omega-6 lanolic acid. This oxidizes and it turns into toxic molecules that damage your blood vessels. Okay, now so you might be thinking at this point that omegas are actually good for you, but omega-6 is not good for you. That's why doctors recommend do not take omega 3, 6, and 9. Always take omega 3 on its own because omega 6 is very inflammatory and it is very damaging to your body overall. Now, Now, what happens in this case is your blood thickens, your capillaries harden, and your scalp circulation drops. There's also something more insidious, and that is oxidized LA, which is omega 6, creates a peroxidase. It creates lipid peroxides, which damage endothelial cells which line the blood vessels. That is what silently thickens your blood, stiffens arteries, and impairs microcirculation in your scalp. LA also inhibits PGD2 inhibition, a prostaglandin that triggers hair loss when upregulated. Here's a fun fact: PGD2 is found 3 times higher in bald scalps versus non balding scalp. Food group number 3. As we age, we produce less stomach calcium and phosphorus. This is from pasteurized dairy. Dairy is complicated. While raw dairy can be healing, pasteurized hormone laced dairy can calcify your arteries, especially if you're low in vitamin K2, magnesium, or D3. So, what does that mean for you? Well, tiny calcium deposits from inside your vessels, those vessels nourish your scalp. If they harden, your follicles are toast. These calcifications reduce blood flow to capillaries near the scalp. So, hair loss is now being referred to in some studies as a symptom of vascular aging. A calcified vessels are one of the primary culprits. So, what is the problem? Well, you'll never feel it. It's silent until your hair starts falling out in chunks. Inorganic calcium deposits in blood vessels, especially if you're magnesium or K2 deficient. This is called vascular calcification. Hair follicles require extremely delicate microvascular networks. Single hardened capillary can starve dozens of follicles. This is a warning sign for you. Most balding is a sign of microvascular starvation and not just DHT. Food group number 4 is excess animal protein and low enzymes. As we age, we produce less stomach acid and pancreatic enzymes, especially if under stress. High protein diets, especially red meat or eggs, become poorly digested, leading to intestinal fermentation, ammonia, and endotoxin leakage. Your body diverts blood to clean up the gut, and your scalp suffers ischemia, which means low oxygen. It's not the protein, it's the poor digestion that causes systemic inflammation and blood thickening, which is why we started off talking about the gut in the beginning of this video. So, food group number 5 is called ages, spelled like age, and this is advanced glycation end product from overcooked foods. Do you ever notice your hair is drier, coarser, and bulk breaks easier? That's glycation damage. When you fry or grill foods at high temperatures, proteins and sugars combine to form AGEs, AGES. They damage collagen and elastin, the proteins that hold your scalp and follicle structure in place. These glycation molecules stiffen your capillaries, making them brittle. This process is literally called capillary sclerosis. Balding scalps often show reduced capillary density by 60 to 70% compared to non-balding areas. Most doctors have never even heard of this connection. But if your diet is filled with charred meat, crunchy toast, or browned foods, you're glycation bombing your scalp every single day. Ages also binds to collagen. Your hair shaft weakens, your follicle loses grip, and you shed more hair in the shower. Doctors only measure blood pressure or cholesterol, but they don't check. They don't check fibrinogen levels. They don't check hematocrit elevation, RBC aggregation, serum ferritin overload. All of these thicken the blood, reduce microcapillary perfusion, and make it harder for oxygen, iron, zinc, and amino acids to reach your scalp. What worsens blood viscosity? Dehydration. Excess sugar, which is glycation. Glycation equals to sticky blood. Low nitric acid. Lack of movement. Iron supplements in people with low functional use of iron, often women over 40. So, what should you do after hearing all of this? Hair loss isn't just age, it's a microvascular emergency. Your blood can't feed your scalp if it's thick, sticky, and inflamed from the inside out. So replace these five toxic food groups with raw fermented foods such as kimchi, sauerkraut, and restore gut barrier. That's going to take some time. In the beginning, you're going to be very uncomfortable. Cold pressed olive oil and avocado oil that replaces oxidized seed oils. K2-rich foods such as natto and grass-fed butter. It decalcifies the vessels. Digestive bitters and enzymes fix the root of protein overload. And slow cooked anti-age foods. These protect your vessels and collagen. And every day move your body, hydrate and breathe deeply. This is essential. Even if you don't want to lose weight, your hair is fed by circulation and not just shampoo. This is very, very critical for you to understand because a lot of people think that exercise only equals to weight loss, but that is not it. Your hair thrives off of blood flow, your scalp thrives off of blood flow. The better circulation you have in your blood, the thinner your blood is due to healthy foods and a healthy diet, the better your hair condition is going to be, the better your scalp condition is going to be because your gut is going to be working in its optimal condition. If you start focusing on your gut, then your hair will automatically get better. So if you are a woman above 40 right now and you are experiencing hair loss, how many of these food groups do you currently have in your diet right now? Tell me in the comments down below and be honest.